All right. Good morning, everybody. Hope everybody's doing okay. Did you have a good weekend? Let's hope so. It's Monday, August the 21st. And this is Mitch coming to you from a coffee shop as usual. And I apologize if there's any noise or anything that goes on. You never know in a coffee shop what's going to happen. Somebody could crash through the window or no telling what. But anyway, we're here just for a few minutes to talk about screenplays. And here are my notes for the day. And I thought I'd take a look at my synopsis, kind of show you where I'm at and look at my progress so far. This is day 8 of our live broadcast, and it's not even been 2 weeks yet into the 10-week process. What we're trying to do is spend 10 hours a week for 10 weeks to get our screenplay written. And so far, I've spent most of my time writing a synopsis and a rough idea of what the synopsis is and my outline. So I thought I'd show those to you. Here's my synopsis. You can see it's just nothing more than, um, I've just sort of unloaded my brain. I knew the story in my head. I kind of had some ideas of what I wanted to do, and so this may not be the typical way of doing a synopsis, but that's what I'm calling it because I had all of this going on in my head. I had the story, I could see it. Since I'm a visual person, I could see the opening scene, I could see what I was wanting to tell in terms of a story. I had all the major ideas, and so I just began to write it all down. I just had to dump it out of my brain, and that's what this represents here. And for me, that worked well. Now, the process usually you have a log line, which we'll talk about later. A log line is a 1 or 2 sentence summary of your story, of your film. People should be able to hear that log line and know exactly what you're talking about and identify your film from it. So it's sort of nothing more than a sentence, maybe 2 sentences. And then you have your synopsis, which is supposed to be probably 1 page. They may go as long as 3, but they're often called one-sheeters or one-sheets. If you've got an agent looking at a lot of different screenplay proposals, he may just have a pile of one-sheets. And these one-sheets are basically just an expansion of the log line, and you've got a synopsis of the story. And we can talk about, at some point what you might want to put into that synopsis. We've already talked about a little bit of it last week, but in my mind, what you have is the log line, then you build the log line into a synopsis, which is much more detailed, and then beyond that, you have a treatment, and a treatment is even more detailed. So you're taking this thing in steps from log line to synopsis to treatment, and the treatment is going to be, it could be anywhere from 3 to 5 pages on up to, I think I've seen some treatments as many as 30 pages. And it's a lot more detailed. You're going to start bringing in the minor characters. You're going to give some sample dialogue. And you're going to talk a lot more about the plot and the beats and the plot points. And it's going to be a much more detailed treatment of the screenplay. And then from there, you have your outline. And what I'm doing, what I've done is I've come up with my synopsis. And then this is the outline where I broke it down into the opening scene and then began to put the various plot points into the 3 act structure. What's going to go on in Act 1, what's going to go on in Act 2, and what's going to go on in Act 3 to bring everything together. And that's the way I'm starting to build this screenplay. Now, all of this is going to change. I will be adding stuff, taking stuff out. Even if the screenplay were to go into production, it would change. Along the process, it's going to go through multiple changes. The director gets his hands on it. He's going to change it. So none of this is set in concrete. But you've got to start getting the stuff that's in your head down on paper, and that's what this will do. So I've got my synopsis, I've got my outline, and that's where I'm at now. I'll be talking about logline probably next week. I'm going to be working on my log lines, so the idea is to firm up my log line, my synopsis, then write out a treatment, and then work on my outline, and along the way begin to write scenes and dialogue and begin bringing things together. That's the approach that I'm taking. All right, so that's kind of where I'm at. I look at my synopsis, discuss my progress so far. That's where I'm at. Well, in terms of going live and in terms of this whole process of spending each morning talking about screenplay writing with you, just thought I'd mention a few things that I've learned. I've never streamed live like this on a regular basis, and so it's a learning experience. I'm using OBS as the broadcasting software, and I'm coming to you live from a coffee shop, which has its own problems. Noise, interruptions, the Wi-Fi sometimes is in and out, some technical issues. So it's a learning curve for sure. And the other thing I was going to mention in terms of just something I've learned in terms of this whole process, in terms of writing in general, I've been writing a long time, and it's becoming more and more clear to me that it's crucial to have a schedule, to find a place and time each day that you want to write. Unless you do this full time, and even if you do it full time, you want to have a schedule. But if you're working another job and you're doing this on the side, it's important to have a writing schedule set aside. What are the 2 hours a day that you can set aside? And you want to save that time each day and keep it sacred. Don't let anybody change it unless you want to change it. And you ought to probably have a place as well where you're going to do your writing. Now, some people do this in coffee shops. They get away for 2 hours a day and run off to the coffee shop, put on their headphones, and do their writing there. So the whole idea is if I leave it up to, I'm just going to do this when I feel like it or whenever I can, I'll fit it into my day, what's going to happen is it's never going to happen. So treat it like a profession, treat it like a side job, have a schedule, have a place you go each day, and do the work. And it's also crucial to have a plan. Now, in terms of my screenwriting plan for this project, I'm focusing on 10 hours a week for 10 weeks. And my goal is to have a 100-page rough draft outline, rough draft script at the end of that 10 weeks. Now, if you figure 1 page equals 1 minute of film, 100 pages should bring us about an hour and 40 minutes of film time. Now, that's, just a rough average, but that's what we're looking at. That's what we're hoping for. So I'm looking at 10 hours a week for 10 weeks. And I'm asking you to sort of come along with me for the ride. And what this does is gives me something to shoot at, gives me a target. So to have a plan is a good idea. You may have your own plan. You may want to write 20 hours a week, whatever. But regardless, I'm going to be here. I'm going to be here every morning, Monday through Friday, at 8:30, and I may be here in this little conference room area where it's a little quieter, or I may be outside. I may be over in a corner somewhere, but I'll be coming to you from a coffee shop here in the great state of Texas, and we're going to talk screenplays. So why don't you join me? Thanks for being with me, and I hope things go well for you today. Get some writing in, okay? We'll see you later.